on. And, it comes down to yield. The yields are going to have to be dramatically higher than they are today across a huge number of crops.
So are you for or against genetically modified food?
Well, what our foundation is doing is we're working with partners. For example, DuPont Pioneer on some new maize things, with ADM on some cocoa growing things. Some of these are traditional breeding, and some of them are transgenic. In parallel, we're also funding scientific expertise in Africa. So when, 3 or 4 years from now, if things go as expected, there are some crops with big benefits, drought resistance, that the transgenic approach probably can do better than any other approach. Each country can decide what are the benefits to them and what are the risks, what's known about safety, IP licensing, and things that would make them hesitant. And then, they'll, on their own, be able to make that decision. The likelihood that the safety profile will be okay and then that will be beneficial, I hope that works out, because it is a tool, particularly for disease resistance, where you can put in a new gene called an RNA interference gene for a particular crop problem. It would be a real help. And you're right on the verge of starvation all the time, so every tool that's safe and appropriate, you would at least want to look into.
Alan Kuhlman, DuPont does produce genetically modified food as well as many other things, high-yielding varieties. Are you facing a lot of resistance through a little knowledge is a dangerous thing kind of approach, or are you confident that GM is the future?
Well, I think that if you're going to resolve problems like drought resistant, you're going to have to use genetic modification to get there. I can't think of a product in terms of genetically modified seed that has been more tested and more thoroughly vetted in many of the countries that currently allow it to grow. I think in 2008, we surpassed 2 billion acres globally where biotech crops are grown. And so there is a lot of data out there, there's a lot of information, and there's a lot of benefits to it. But I think Bill's right. Each country, if they set a science-based, transparent regulatory framework, then the industry can work with those countries in order to bridge that gap and the productivity that is needed to fill that food gap.
So in Vietnam,